I watched Classroom of the Elite Season 1 back in 2017 when it first aired, and I figured I probably forgot a lot of the details since then, so I decided to rewatch Season 1 before starting Season 2 this year. And I'm glad I did, because I definitely forgot a lot of the details, such as the entire existence of Karuizawa, who played a minor role in Season 1, but plays a much bigger role in Season 2. I also didn't do a review back then, so I figured let me watch Seasons 1 and 2 back to back, and then do a review of them combined when all is said and done. Now, I'm going to try to keep spoilers mild, and I know nobody likes that, because if you've seen the show, you want to hear me discuss all the spoilers. If you haven't seen the show, you don't want to hear any of it, but I'm just going to do this in a way that makes everyone lose but me. Alright, so my first impressions here. The opening themes for Seasons 1 and 2 were both done by the same singer, Zach, spelled Z-A-Q. And she is a really good singer. In addition to that, she writes her own music, so I've come to really like her. She also did the ending theme for Requiem of the Rose King, which I watched last year. Once again, excellent song. Okay, Ayano the main character. His voice is annoyingly dull. And I get what they were going for. This guy is a super genius, nothing ever phases him, so there's no need to put any emotion into his voice. But still, they don't have to make it that monotonous. The voice was just really, really grating at times. The philosophical quote at the beginning of each episode. Now that was a pain in the ass to read in Japanese. Now 2017, the last time I watched the show, that was last year I was regularly watching English subtitled anime, so I didn't have to deal with this back then. I just read the subtitles. It was a much simpler time. But nowadays, in addition to trying to decipher the philosophical language, there was also that really weird Japanese font which was kind of just hard to read the characters at all, so I more or less ignored the quotes, which, you know, I tend to ignore philosophy in most anime I watch. At least here it's at the very beginning, and you can ignore it easily if you want to. Okay, the first big reveal in the show. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep the spoilers mild here, but I don't know why this had to be a big reveal. It's not like all the other upperclassmen or the graduates of the school or the people who dropped out of the school were sworn to secrecy or couldn't have the freedom to post their opinions online and never revealed the nature of the point system to all the incoming students. I mean, why was everyone in Class D left in the dark except basically Horikita and Ayano? In fact, Ayano probably just inferred things from circumstance, but at least Horikita knew. Why couldn't everyone else? That was just kind of weird. And now let's get on to the false sexual assault accusations. Now, Me Too took off in 2018, I believe, which would have been a year after this show aired, which is why this show didn't get the backlash that the S.H.I.E.L.D. hero got a year later. Now, I don't care about these kinds of things. I don't care if there's false sexual assault accusations in a story or if there are depictions of actual sexual assault. Just make it interesting. I don't care how offensive it is. As long as it's interesting, I'm going to be okay with it. Now, I thought that Season 1 was overall kind of average until its last arc in which they got to the island. And through 2 seasons, this is as good as the show gets so far. You have all the psychological battles, the physical battles, a lot of plot twists. You have all the classes involved. To me, this is peak Classroom of the Elite. And because of this arc, I gave Season 1 a double plus. Now let's move on to Season 2. So the first arc is a prisoner-style dilemma game when they're back on the ship heading back from the islands. Through 3 episodes, this was about as good as the island arc, and then all of a sudden, episode 4 starts, they're back in the classroom. It was a really abrupt and weird transition. I had to go back to make sure I didn't skip an episode. So it was starting off really good, then all of a sudden, it was just kind of weird. I have no idea how they handled this in the light novel, but I wish they extended that first arc just a bit more. After that, they get onto the sports festival and the test, which are still strategic in nature, but a little toned down in that aspect. I think they focused more on character development, which was worthwhile, especially for Horikita, who really starts to come back after the sports festival arc. She hits kind of a low point there with her interactions with Ryuen, but she was really hyped up in Season 1, and just the way she set up in the class to sort of be that number 2 behind Ayano, I would have expected a lot more from her. It seems like further down in the story, we're finally going to see her realize her full potential, but at least in Season 2, she's starting to work her way back up to what we might have hoped for her in the first place. And then after that, we're supposed to get this showdown between Ryuen and Ayano. Now, this was something I imagined to be completely climactic and glorious, had it not been spoiled by Instagram of all things. I really made a mistake here, not just by joining Instagram in the first place, but also clicking on an account that did side-by-side images of like manga and light novels side by side with the corresponding scenes from the anime. So I saw that scene before its time, kind of ruined it for me, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that it should have been really good had it not been spoiled. So through 2 seasons, I would say season 1 and season 2 are both double plus good. Now, through 2 seasons, I would say Ryuan is actually one of my favorite characters, if not my absolute favorite characters, not because I like him, because obviously he's a total dick, but whenever he's on the screen, something interesting is bound to happen. And at least through 2 seasons, he's proven himself to be, from what we've seen so far, the second most competent character on the show, behind Ayano himself. Now, I would expect his ranking to drop after a while. There's the leader of Class A, there's at least probably the leader of Class B, and maybe even some other characters who haven't been introduced yet. But right now, he's completely on top of things, and probably if Ayano were not there, this guy might be ruling the school, and ruining the school too. Okay, finally, let's get to the all-important best girl rankings. First place right now, I have Ichinose, the leader of Class B. She just seems really chill, and on top of that, there's gotta be more to her than meets the eye. I cannot wait for that to be exposed. But yeah, I really like her so far. Number 2, I think Horikita's really making a comeback here. After season 1, I actually had Kushida ahead of her, but that's been flipped around now, and I think Horikita is only going to get better as the story goes on. Third place, I don't really have a good third place favorite character right now, but I will say, let me just give it to the teacher, Chabashira Sensei, for, let's say, obvious reasons. But once again, as the show goes on and more characters introduced, I think there will be a clear number 3 best girl at some points. And that's all so far. Double plus for seasons 1 and 2, and the show, I think, is on an upward trajectory.